Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Carolina and today I'm going to teach you how to make your own Sabrina top, which has been one of my most popular designs since when I launched it last November. And this dress is inspired by the movie Sabrina with Audrey Hepburn. At some point she's wearing this cute little black dress that I've been obsessed with since ever. I was like, okay, I really need to make my own version of it. And I just decided to make a little change because this dress is very fitted on your body, but I don't always feel so comfortable wearing fitting dresses like dresses with zippers, for example. So I just decided to add those cute side bows on the upper part of the bodice so that you can just adjust the top to your own body and your own preferences, and it will always be comfortable for you while also giving you a very fitted look, so it's like total win-win for me. And lately I've made it with linen and cotton, and like last week I made it in Sangallo cotton, which is like my favorite version of it at the moment because it's May here in Milan and it's starting to be very hot actually, so it's just giving me those summer vibes. And I even made a dress version of it, but because the majority of you seems to be more interested in the top version, I just decided to start by making the digital pattern of the top. But of course, if you're interested, just let me know, maybe just leave a comment below so I know you would like to see also the tutorial on how to turn the top into a dress. I would also like to make a little recap on what you will receive when you purchase a pattern for me. So you're going to receive a general information file with all the information that you need to make this sewing project. So I highly suggest you to read that document before start sewing or before viewing this video. Then you received an A4 and an US letter file in case you want to print your pattern at home. Otherwise, you will also find an A0 PDF that you can just bring to your local print shop and they can print the pattern for you. Okay, so I think I've already talked enough, so I think it's time to jump into the actual tutorial. Okay, so I have already all my pieces cutted because yesterday I filmed a little tutorial for you on how to print and assemble your digital pattern at home, so I will link that down below for you as well. So just in case you want a little guidance on how to print and assemble the digital pattern. And I'm now going to just cut the fabrics. I just want to give you a little overview on how many pieces we are going to cut. And as you can see, on each pieces you have the indication of how many pieces you have to cut. And so for the front bodice we will cut 2 pieces, and we want to be sure that we cut on fold. Then we have 4 pieces for the side bodice, other 2 pieces for the back bodice, always cutting with the fabric folded. Then we have 4 bows for the upper part of the top and 8 bows for the side. And then we will have, for the bottom of the top, we will have to cut 2 side frill and 2 front and back frill. And in this case, I'm going to use 2 different fabrics, one for the main fabric and one for the lining, but just keep in mind that I'm going to cut 1 piece of the back and front bodice with my main fabric and 1 piece of both for the lining. And for the side bodice I'm going to cut 2 pieces with the main fabric and 2 pieces with the lining fabric. And because both the front, the back and the side pieces contain some notches, we also want to be sure that we're going to transfer it on the fabric when cutting it. You can just draw a little line with your chalk or with a fabric pencil, or what I like to do is to just make a little cut, no more than 5 millimeters in the fabric, to have the indication. Another important thing to keep in mind when cutting is this little arrow that appears on every piece of the pattern, and this indicates that we have to cut parallel to the grain line of the fabric. And in case you are wondering what is the grain line, it's the less stretchy part of your fabric. Even though the fabric is already not stretchy, you can see that if you do this, it's like not more stretchy, while if you do this on the other side, it's more stretchy. And so this is the grain line of the fabric. And speaking about fabrics, to make the Sabrina top, you will need about 1.5 meters of fabric, or just 1 meter for the main fabric and 0.5 meter for the lining. And today I'm going to use this beautiful jacquard that I got a few months ago from a website called Beglarian Fabrics. This is a dead stock fabric, so it makes it even more special to me. So I probably that's why I kept keeping it in my fabric stash for so long, but I finally decided how to use it. And also thank you for helping me, because I made a poll the other day on Instagram because I couldn't choose between this fabric and another one, but this one win. And then I'm just going to use some white cotton for the lining. In general, for this project, I can either recommend you linen or cotton, or any non stretchy fabric, like yeah, this is just jacquard. The important is that it's a non stretchy fabric of your choice, basically. Here you can see I've already pinned some of the pieces on the fabric, and in the general information file you will also find a little scheme on how to position each piece on the fabric. And here you can see we have these notches, and I'm just going to make a little cut like so, here and here. And as you can notice, each notch has the indication of their purpose, basically. So these are for the side bows, and this is for the this is just an indicator for the front, because on this pattern the front and the back bodice are really similar. So I just decided to put a little notches here, so we won't have to guess later when we are sewing if you are sewing the front or the back bodice. Okay, and now I'm just going to finish to cut all the pieces on the main fabric, and then I'm going to do the same for the lining, on which I'm just going to cut the side, the back and the front bodice parts. We now have all our pieces cutted, and what I like to do now is to just give them a little stir, also because the lining is quite choked. Also iron the pieces before starting to sew, really helps you to be more precise when sewing, so I always do that, and I highly suggest you to do it so. We are now ready to start sewing, and we are going to start by making the straps. And what I like to do again is to iron them, because to make each strap you just need to fold the fabric like this, and then again like this, and we're going to sew along here. But because this jacquard is a quite bulky fabric and it doesn't really stay in shapes, I'm just going to iron each straps before sewing, and I highly suggest you to do the same even if you're using a lighter fabric, because it really helps you when sewing, because your piece will already stay in place. At the end of the strap you want to open the fabric again, and you just fold it like this. And then you will close it again just as before. Oops. Yeah, working with this fabric is not as easy, because I wasn't expecting it to be this bulky. It literally does what it wants, but with a good iron everything will stay in place. By the end the straps will look like this. We will just cut any excess of fabrics that came out, so I'm just going to repeat the same steps for all the straps now. Also, a thing I forgot to mention is that if your fabric has a good side and a bad side, you just want to be sure that when doing these steps you start with the bad side of the fabric facing you, so that by folding it you will have the good side at the end of the step. Just finished to iron each strap, and I also use some clip to keep the final part together and in place. And if you're working with a similar fabric to mine, I highly suggest you to do this, because it will really help later. And we can now move on to the sewing machine. Okay, so I'm now going to start sewing the first strap, and what we want to remember is to always backstitch both at the beginning and at the end of the strap. We now have something like this. I'm just now going to repeat each step for all the straps, and see you later. Okay, and once we are ready with the straps, we can just put them aside, and we are now going to work on the upper bodice part, and I'm going to start with the lining. So what we want to do is to pin everything together So I'm going to put the back bodice in front of me, and then I take one of the side, and we just have to check that the notches that indicate that this is the front part is on our right side. So we are going to start pinning them together. And I'm going to repeat the same step for the other part. So again, I'm going to pin this part of the back bodice to this part of the side bodice. And now we just have to attach also the front bodice. Okay, so now we are going to sew all along the pin part. So we're going to sew 4 parts total, this one, and then here and here. And before starting to sew, we just want to check that the front indicator notches matches. So this is my front bodice, and I know it because I see these notches here and here, and they are matched with the front side of the side bodice part, both on this way and on this other way. So I can start sewing now. Okay, so I'm just going to cut all the excess thread now, and as you can see, I didn't stop to cut each part when I finish sewing it, because I just continue because it's just time saving for me. So just a little tip for you: if you want to sew a little faster, you don't need to cut the thread every time, you can just do it all at once. So we will now have something that looks like this, and we are now going to repeat the same step for the main fabric as well, but this time we are also going to attach the side bows. Just as before, I'm starting with the back bodice, looking at me, and you want to be sure that the good side of the fabric is facing you while doing this. And I'm going to take the side straps, which are just a little bit shorter than the upper bows, and I'm starting to positioning them on the back bodice, following the straps that we made earlier. Now I'm going to attach the side parts to the back bodice, and again these notches shows us that this part is the part that match with the front bodice, while the part without the notch is the part that goes along with the back bodice. And this time you want to see the bad side while attaching it to the back bodice. So if you open it, you will have good side facing the other good side of the fabric. Okay, now we have something that looks like this, and we just want to put to pin the side bows also on the front bodice before connecting the front bodice to the other part. Okay, I just drew the curtain a little bit because now the sun has come out very strong and I'm worried you won't be able to see the steps. So with the good side facing you, you want to attach the strap to the notches. Okay, we can now attach the front bodice to the rest of the bodice. So we're just putting the good side inside the bodice, like this. And we are now going to pin everything together. Okay, so now I'm just going to double check again if the front indicator notches matches, and they match, so we are now going to sew everything again like we did with the lining. As always, we want to backstitch at the beginning and at the end, and this time, just to secure the stitches, I'm also going to backstitch every time I find a straps below. Okay, so now also the main fabric is ready, and we are just going to press the seams now on both the main fabric and the lining, and then we are going to attach the lining to the main fabric. Okay, so now with the good part facing us of the main fabric bodice, we want to attach this upper bows. And we want to position them in the center, like so. And we are going to do the same for the back part. Okay, and now we want to insert the lining so that we can sew all together. And to do it, we want to flip again the main fabric so that the bad side is facing us. And we are going to instead flip the lining part so that the good part is facing us. And now, making sure that we are matching the front part of the lining with the front part of the good fabric, we are going to insert the lining into the main fabric. And I'm just going to put some clips here just to keep the fabric in place. And now, by also making sure that the upper bows stays inside, like they stay between the lining and the main fabric, we want to pin them together. Okay, and we are just now going to pin also all along these parts and along the armhole and the neckline, so that we can later sew all these parts together. When pinning the armhole, you just want to be sure that the two seams are matching each other. Okay, so just to sum up a little bit, we are now going to sew all along the pinned fabrics, and you will see that the front bodice and the back bodice won't attach together, but it will all be open like this. So now that everything is sewn together, we just want to make some little cuts on the curves, because this will help the fabric to be like to follow more the curves, and it will give us a more beautiful look after. And we also want to cut a little bit of fabric from the seam allowance, especially like on the more bulkier parts, like here, that is where we have the bows. That way the fabric won't be too bulky when we flip the top. Okay, now we're going to flip the top. Okay, everything look nice. What we want to do now is to sew the seam allowance on the lining part, so that this way the fabric won't flip over like it's doing now, and when we're going to wear the top, the lining won't be visible. I'm going to put the lining part on the sewing machine like this. And as you can see, we can start to sew from the very beginning, so we are just starting a little bit below. And what we want to do is to be very sure that the seam allowance is on the lining part. Here you can see that everything is on the right side, which is my lining part. And I'm going to sew very close to the seams that we already have. I'm going to repeat these steps for all the necklines and the armhole, and I'm always going to start just a little bit after the bows. So like I'm going to start here, and then I'm going all the way down until here, and then here we have the bows. So on the armhole I will start just a little bit under it, like here, and so on. Again, when you're starting to sew the armhole, just double check that the seam allowance is on the right side. Now we just want to cut all the excess thread, and then we are also going to iron everything, so it will look really nice. Okay, so and this is what it looks like after a good press, and I'm not going to lie, this jacquard is probably not so suitable for this project, so I won't recommend fabric that has such a strong structure like this one, because it really keeps to be bulky and it shouldn't be, but it's just because of the type of fabric that I choose, because with all the other Sabrina top that I made, it never happens to me, so just a little lesson for me. Okay, so Now we are really almost done because we have done all the upper part of the Sabrina top, and we just now need to work on the frill, so we can take the 4 remaining pieces that we have cutted, and I'm going to show you now what to do with these. First things we want to do is to attach all these 4 parts together. So I'm starting with the longer part, which is the part that will go on the front and the back of the top. And I want to be sure that the wrong side is facing me. And I'm just taking a side frill part, and again with the wrong side facing me, I'm going to pin them together so that the good part are facing each other. Okay, so now I can attach another long part of the frill, always making sure that at the end the right part are facing each other. And then we're going to attach the final side frill part. And we can now connect the final side frill to the first frill part. And what we want to do now is that we are going to sew all along the pinned part. So we are going to sew here, and then here and here. So everything will be connected together. So what we want to do now is to finish the row edges, and I'm going to do it with my overlocker machine, but if you don't have it, you can just use your regular sewing machine and select zigzag stitches. Before going on with the other steps, we just want to be sure that we secure this excess of threads, and I'm going to do it only on one side because the other one, like, we are going to hem it, so it doesn't matter. And to do it, we just need a knit needle like this one. You can see that the hole of the needle is quite big, and we're going to insert the excess of thread inside the needle. And then we are going to pass it through the seams that we just made with the overlocker, and then we can just cut the excess of threads. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to gather all along this line, like so, because as you can see, the frill part is too long rather than the total length of the upper bodice. So to do it, usually we just have to put the highest tension on our sewing machine and the longest stitches, but I think I'm going to put just a little clip where I do this step on another fabric, because I already know that because this fabric is too bulky and heavy, I think it's not going to work. So I'm also going to teach you how to make it with a kind of fabric like this, so in case you're working with a heavier fabric, you know how to gather it. So what I'm gonna do is, instead of using my sewing machine to gather the fabric, I'm going to end stitch like so. Making my stitches very large, as you can see, and you don't even have to be that accurate, because it won't be visible when we're done. And as you can see, I can already gather the fabric. Okay, so now I'm going to end stitch all the part of the frills, and I will always start where a piece start and here, and then I will start again here and then here and so on. As I promised, I just made another frill version with some cotton, which is just a fabric that I would use for the Sabrina top, and I'm now going to show you how to gather the fabrics using your sewing machine. The first thing you want to do is to put your tension to the highest possible, and also your stitching length to the highest possible, which for me is 9 and 4. And now we just want to pull the thread quite a lot, because we are going to use it later to gather the fabric. And we can now start sewing, and I'm going to start here and then finish here, and then start again here and finish here, and so on for all the frill. And another thing we want to keep in mind is that this time we don't want to backstitch at the beginning and at the end, because we just want our thread to be able to move through the fabric. So I'm going to stop here and then pulling the thread and cut it, and then again I'm going to pull the thread and start again here. And as you can see, the fabric has already curved a little bit, and what we want to do now is to just take one thread and to gently pull it through the fabric like so. So from this point we can just go back to the actual video, because the other steps are the same. Okay, I'm done with the end stitching part, and if you did this gathering step with your sewing machine, we are now on the same page again. So we are just ready to attach the frill to the upper bodice of the Sabrina top. And to do it, you just want to have your upper bodice in front of you with the right side facing you, and then we are going to insert the bodice inside the frill part, so that the part that we gather is now attached to the final part of the bodice. And before starting to gathering, we are just going to pin or clip in together the seams that we have. can slowly start to gather our fabric by pulling the excess of threads that we have, and we want to do these steps with a little bit of calm and very gently, because otherwise the thread might break and we will have to repeat the gathering stitch again. Once I started to gather the frill a little bit, I will also start to attach it to the final part of the upper bodice. Hi, it is actually the next day, because yesterday afternoon my camera just decided to die and it was already 5 p.m. and it took more than 1 hour to recharge completely, so I was like, okay, it's just the universe telling me that I have to keep filming tomorrow morning. So here we are, and at this point we should have all our frill attached to the upper bodice part of the Sabrina top. So we are now ready to attach it, and yeah, we are now ready to sew them together. And please just check that you put your tension and your length stitch back to normal before sewing again. And you also want to do this step really slowly and just checking by that you're sewing everything together. So you will be sewing 3 layers of fabrics: the frill, the main fabric of the upper bodice, and the lining. I'm just sewing with a little bit more than 1 centimeter of seam allowance, and that's because I want my final stitches to be just a little bit above the gathering stitches, so the gathering stitches won't be visible from the outside. So now everything is sewn together, and we just want to double check that everything looks fine. And in my case it does. So I can now just cut off all the excess threads from inside, and then we're going to finish the raw edges. And to finish the edges, I just opted for my overlocker machine because I have one, but again, if you don't have it, you can just use your zigzag stitches on your regular sewing machine and you'll be fine. Okay, this is the most exciting part, because we just need to hem our Sabrina top and then she will be ready. And I just suggest you to warn it now, because you might maybe want it to be a little bit shorter, so this is the time for you to adjust the final length. And since I'm happy with the standard length, I'm just going to hem it now, and I'll see you later with our Sabrina top ready to be worn. Given the texture of the fabric, I'm rolling the hem as I sew, but when I have to hem using softer fabrics like cotton or linen, I always iron the hem before sewing to make sure the result is super precise. And the technique is just the same. I first fold the fabric once and then back on itself again, and if I'm ironing it, I will just give it a little final press. So this is the final results, and even though this fabric, in my opinion, has too much structure for this pattern, I'm still happy with how it turned out, because I still think it's really cute, and I still love this fabric so much. Like, these floral details are so beautiful to me. I wouldn't just recommend a fabric that has so much structure to you, especially if you are a beginner, because I usually make it with linen or cotton, and in my opinion those are the best fabrics for this project, so I would highly suggest you that. But yeah, anyway, I'm still happy with the result and I'm sure I'm going to use it this summer. But yeah, this is just a little reminder that not every fabrics work the same way on the same pattern. And since we are now at the end of this video, I really want to thank you to stay with me until the end, and I hope you had fun sewing the Sabrina top and that you are really happy with your results. Of course, if you made it, it would mean the world to me if you would just send me a picture of your creation, or if you want, you can always tag me on Instagram. I find it so inspiring to see how different people reinvent my patterns, like with new fabrics, new colors. I really love to see that. I hope to see you into my next sewing tutorial, which hopefully will be online at the end of this month, and I want to keep it like a free sewing tutorial, like you won't need a pattern for that. So yeah, I'm also very excited for that too. So stay tuned and have a beautiful day, and see you into my next video. Bye!